This is Optimal Living Daily, episode 2660. Do these 5 things when social anxiety has your tongue. Part 1 by Roxana Alexandru with introvertdear.com. And I'm Justin Malik. I have a bit of a longer post, so I'll read the first half today and then finish the rest for you tomorrow. So with that, let's get right to part 1 and start optimizing your life. Do these 5 things when social anxiety has your tongue. Part 1 by Roxana Alexandru with introvertdear.com. Honesty and vulnerability are the most powerful weapons to combat social anxiety. Have you ever had a moment, or let's be honest, a million moments when you stumbled on your words, mumbled them upside down, and cringed at how inarticulate you were? Being an introvert and a polyglot, I tend to lose my words, a plenty of times. And if it happens frequently enough, my social anxiety kicks into high gear. Then it's much more difficult to tone it down than it is to keep it in check. I'm talking total confidence shutdown, inferiority complex banging on the door, imposter syndrome clocking in, negative inner talk taking control. For example, something happened recently where I wish someone would have kicked me to the moon away from the interaction at hand because I failed at language so badly. It all started when my manager called a team meeting to let us know that a bunch of college students would come to the office to learn more about the working environment. It was a cooperation with our company and the local university. Before I even had a chance to hide in the corner, my manager looked straight at me and told me that he had assigned me to a student. Great. And don't get me wrong, I have no qualms about participating in knowledge transfers. I just prefer when I'm the one getting the knowledge. Also, I do enjoy imparting knowledge, but it just so happens that I didn't have much going on to showcase at that time. Hey, look at me. I'm getting paid to be bored. This made the task at hand much more difficult. Imagine trying to come up with what you've worked on in the past week when, in fact, you spent all week Instagramming stories. It was kind of like that. So there I was staring at a first-generation college student named Brianna. She's going to shadow me at work. And let me tell you, she was bright, perky, and wide-eyed, ready to learn all about the IT department, corporate America, and what it takes to get your foot in the door. As I sat there explaining to her what I do and what my current project was all about, I couldn't help but lose control of my English. I mean, holy moly, how did I even graduate high school? It made me feel small. Perhaps I'd spent so much time as a new mom baby talking at home or not reading enough in the past month or simply lacking in sleep that I couldn't bring myself to sound coherent. I could see myself from her perspective, and it made me uncomfortable. The highly sensitive person in me could feel her judging me. My negative inner talk grew louder and louder as the minutes passed. It made me feel like I didn't own my responsibilities. It made me insecure about my communication skills, thus reigniting my imposter syndrome. I imagined her thinking, how can she possibly oversee this project if she can't even explain it to me? I could totally do this better than her. They are paying her for this? And why is she sweating? The AC is definitely on high here. It made me feel small, and I hate feeling small. Introverts pride themselves on their words. Ultimately, there were 2 ways I could have reacted. I could have, number 1, commiserated for days on end about how I'm failing at life, or number 2, given myself a break. At the end of the day, I decided not to think about the many ways I could have portrayed myself better. I wanted to avoid the rabbit hole of why I couldn't explain myself properly and save the sad excuses for another time. I also didn't want to allow myself to think there was a bigger problem at stake. Hypochondriac, anyone? My inner talk took a back seat as I decompressed and gave myself a hug for not having a good day. If you ever find yourself at a loss for words, cut yourself some slack. Don't overwork your brain because clearly it's already being overworked. Not only are you doing yourself more harm by forcing your brain, but you're inviting a slew of other issues through the door, like insecurities that are better off hiding in the darkest corners of your mind. We all have those moments when we ramble and make a fool of ourselves. And while that's tough for anyone, it might be tougher for introverts because most of us pride ourselves on being methodical and careful with our words. This is the extrovert equivalent of getting mad drunk at a party and leaving behind a trail of unsavory pictures for the world to see. The same feeling, I imagine. But fear not, you can always redeem yourself. This is what I did to speak eloquently the next time around. 5 things to do if you forget how to speak. Hear those in tomorrow's episode. You just listened to part 1 of the post titled, Do These 5 Things When Social Anxiety Has Your Tongue by Roxana Alexandru with introvertdear.com. What's the capital of Canada? Where do kebabs originally come from? If you can answer questions like these within 15 seconds, then Trivia Star is for you. Trivia Star is a free mobile trivia game with over 60 different categories that you get to choose from, including music, TV, animals, and celebrities. Answer correctly and beat the clock, then you move on to the next level. The questions get harder over time, but if you get stuck, you can use coins and gems to get hints and beat the level. And right now, Trivia Star is offering you 2,500 coins and 500 gems when you download and play. I love this game not only because it keeps my brain active, but it's also a great learning experience. And I'm not the only one. Trivia Star has thousands of 5-star reviews in the Apple Store and is the #1 trivia game on the App Store. Download it today to challenge yourself. Just go to the Apple or Google Store and search for Trivia Star. Download Trivia Star for free today and get ready to flex your brain muscles. Thank you to Roxana for this one. I noticed she mentioned being an HSP, stands for highly sensitive person, which is something we hear about from time to time on this show. Actually, a little bit more over on one of our other podcasts, Optimal Relationships Daily. But anyway, I feel like from the thousands of articles I've narrated here now, that a common theme among the anxious types is being a highly sensitive person. So that really wasn't too shocking to hear. If you're curious if you fit that description of highly sensitive, I narrated an article titled 7 Signs You're Highly Sensitive in episode 2629, so you might want to check that out. But even if not, that inner voice can easily go off the rails with situations like these, and at any time. It can happen in the moment or even in the future, which then can make it even more difficult to do these types of activities at a later time because the brain wants to remind us of the bad and avoid that specific situation in the future. And that's why it's important to have awareness and be able to catch the brain in those negative thought patterns and break away from it. And sometimes it's easier said than done, but luckily there are other ways without just awareness, which we can get into tomorrow when we finish up this post. So for now, I'll leave it there. Thank you for being here and listening every day. And we'll finish up this one tomorrow with some tactics where your optimal life awaits.